All right, folks, thanks for enduring the commercial break. No, I did it again. Stop pressing that button, Rifkin. What I need to do is set up a hotkey for the out-of-game scene. Again, you guys aren't watching commercials again. Well, it's my bad. But we do have the lobby set up. Nerchio versus Denver. We'll be starting off on Abyssal Reef. As we go under the sea.
Under the sea.
I'm really upset, actually. The song I made with not Denver. The song I made with Tempo for this, you guys probably heard this before. It's actually getting really heavily scrutinized under copyright claims. And granted, your copyright claimings are coming from a big company like Disney, so good luck fighting that. But it should be protected under parody because it's been made not for profit and it was made for fun. And it is nothing like the original work. So I'm a little bit sad that we've been losing the copyright dispute cases on it. Feels
It
bad,
is
man.
really sad.
But at the same time, I look at it, and this, by the way, for those listening on YouTube, this is not to disparage you, but it is something where Twitch is our audience, Twitch is where we at work, and Twitch is where we're live, and frankly, if YouTube's going to screw us around like that, Twitch doesn't mute the VODs from it, so I'm okay just still maybe bringing it back just for the sake of Twitch, but either way, hopefully map intros, and especially specifically that one, that's the only one I've been working on right now, by the way. I hope that's the one that we finally get finished up here in the near future. And what little spare time I have. But we are getting into game number 1 of the winner's match. So don't worry, fans of Zerg. Somebody here is going to fall to fight against DNS in those finals. Will it be this guy in the top left? The blue Zerg from France. It's Denver.
Why? Or will it be this guy in the bottom right? Is the red Zerg? It's Nerchio.
Did you say why?
Yeah. So you're...
Yeah, because he's got the little Carbot Infester thing.
Oh, okay, that was not the sound. Your sound sounded more like a fart sound than like a...
Well, I mean, I just stuck my tongue out. And went, like,
You're bad at it then.
Excuse you?
That's right, I went there.
Wow. You know what?
You're bad at doing the Infestor Carbot impression. I hope that makes you feel bad.
I think Troubletown's about to have another population added to it. Thank you, by the way, to Sir Rocco SC for the 6 months. So it's halfway to that part 2. Thanks for all that you do for the StarCraft 2 community. Well, thank you as well for all that you do for the StarCraft community by subscribing to BaseTradeTV.
Hey.
I'll let you figure out if you want to answer that other question while I was glancing at chat, but a couple.
See what it even means.
A couple of links do sneak out along the right side, and this will avoid any potential scouting, I guess, through Overlords. This can be really annoying, really pesky, but before this gets underway, maybe this ends up being a 2-0 for Nerchio because he is quite good at ZvZ, but I do want to bring up that Denver has proven that as the more unknown player, he's actually very talented at this matchup as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Nerchio actually showed us a couple of all-in cheeses a couple days ago too, or yesterday. My days are mixed up. What is it now? Whatever. Anyway, and yeah, he's been pretty good at him. This actually just ended the gate series versus a laser, I think it was, right? So it can be pretty brutal. Denver's trying his best to respond, but unfortunately, he just had kind of one of the greedier openers as Zerg can have. So. No speed, no queen, no banelings, and I think this is game.
It's going to be a very abrupt map, number 1, that's for certain. I'm trying to look at your camera, too, to figure out what that guy's talking about. I'm just wondering if he's, like, referring to Liara, for example, and he's just like...
Right? I was like, is it the Carbot?
I was going to say, Zombie Grip doesn't come off as that kind of girl, you know what I'm saying? Like...
Well, Liara is my wife. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, but she's also physically a large object, so,
I thought you meant no, never mind.
No, never mind. Plus, by the way, if that was what Liara was used for, isn't there like a small % chance you would die using it?
No, that's not how it works with sex with Aksaris. Like
no, but a small percentage of them become that kind that like kill you, right? Like
a very small %. Like
that's what I'm saying.
In 10,000 years, some shit, and it was all the girls' daughters.
No,
there's no chance that you become it. You're born it.
There was a small % chance she would have been born with the disease.
Yeah, but she wasn't.
In this universe, maybe not, but I'm sure in some alternate one.
What is this even? Why?
By the way, folks who are this does disparage folks on YouTube. Those who aren't in Twitch chat have no idea what we're talking about, and oh well, that's your problem. You should join us in Twitch chat next time live here on twitch.tv/BaseTradeTV. But all right, a very abrupt and quick game number one, and frankly, as much as I hate to say it, that did really come down to almost almost just purely a build order thing. Like Nerchio's necessity to put the links around the outside of the map. It was clever, it was smart, but it was also ultimately like almost not even necessary.
The only thing Denver could have done really is create a wall with his lings on the main, and then buy time to his damling nest,
and make
then
Mexico pay for it all.
And then let his hatchery die. But because Nerchio, I don't think Nerchio went for banelings, it would have just put him so far behind. Like Nerchio would have gotten his hatchery, had control over his ramp, and it would have been hard anyway. All right.
Well, game number 2 kicks off here as we get into Belshire Vestige, and again, it was an unfortunate game, and it's not a great representation of what I think we know Denver's capable of.
Right.
But those types of games happen amongst the best. Like, this could have been Nerchio versus a Laser. This could have been a Laser versus Snoot. This could have been anybody, and we've seen games go like that. So, personally, I'm not going to put a strike against them, and it's not because I'm trying to hype them up. It's just the reality of ZvZ sometimes. But getting into game number 2 rather quickly, maybe this will be a 5-minute series. We'll find out here. In the top left, he is down 1 game. It's Denver.
In the bottom right has the blue Zerg. He is Nerchio.
They almost felt like you had like a bit of an Italian to that. He's a Nerchio.
He is a Nerchio. I guess so.
Bellissimo.
I can only have accents if I accidentally use them.
Oh my god, that's why they're called accents. They're accident.
They're accidental. They're an accidental byproduct of human expansion.
Actually, if you think about it, it kind of is the case, though, right? Like, if you were speaking English the way we do, but then accidentally misspoke while you said it, suddenly maybe it sounds Scottish.
If everyone has an accent, is there any way to tell what an accentless English speaker sounds like?
Yes. The argument would be what you sound like when you sing. Because everybody, despite their accents, ends up sounding the same when they sing.
Huh. Interesting.
By the way, I just want to note, I have always had an affinity for a lot of different accents. Australian's always going to be my number one. But I've recently discovered, through YouTube ASMR videos, I apparently really like Scottish accents.
That's weird, man. That's weird.
It's only weird
Scottish
if you make
accents
it weird.
are kind of one of the funny ones, you know?
I think if you're like Scrooge McDuck, yeah.
No, okay, so there's the Scottish accent of like the old guy who's kind of grizzled, and that's cool enough, I guess. But whenever I hear a lady has a Scottish accent, I just think she's like automatically an adorable little old lady, even if she's like 20. I don't know why. That's just what I envision.
You're gonna go to Scotland Yard. I don't know, that was the best attempt at an old Scottish lady.
You like Scottish accents, I like Brooklyn accents, like, I guess they get our weird things.
Hey, come on over here! I can't even. Alright, so a couple links are going to come across the map out of Denver. It is only a couple initially, but he does have a quick baneling nest paired up behind this. And for me, the build out of Denver is just one that says, not again, Nerchio. Not again.
Not again. I mean, it was kind of unlikely Nerchio did it again, but there's a chance maybe Denver's thinking, this fucking guy probably thinks I'm terrible or some shit. Like, who lines me?
Actually, you know what? I do wonder how much of that plays, and we've never really asked the non-pros, like, do you feel that chip on your shoulder playing against somebody who is, you know, that much better? And, oh, unfortunately, doesn't get the drone!
Oh, sign of things that come.
Well, actually, if he kept those alive specifically to make them into banelings, which looks to be the case, then he might get more drone kills for it than just the one.
Tricky.
But Nerchio sees the links coming out. He knows there's going to be a lot on the way coming across the map. Well, he may or may not... He actually has no idea about the baneling portion of this. But again, a smart player can make educated guesses, and we have 4 spine crawlers coming down, absolutely solidifying that he won't die to banelings should these actually complete.
So he did cancel a third base. All right, Nerchio's taking this very seriously.
I like that he is, too. He wants to really secure that victory. Kind of complaining that we do the losers match first. Maybe he just wants to get out of here. Doesn't want to risk losing the game to something silly, but Queens gets surrounded and killed, and this is getting out of hand very quickly.
I was gonna bring up that the alternative was that Denver does the whole like fucking guy, like he early pulls to me, and then he does an early pull too. Now this isn't an early pull. It is something that still surprises your opponent because it comes quick and it does come off of a very low drone count. But he's already even drone counts up as Nerchio had to emergency place down spine crawlers. He technically already lost drones doing that, and then he just lost a couple more.
Yeah.
The spine crawler's finished though, and they're going to be able to hold the ramp now.
But this was an investment in 2 queens that died and 4 spine crawlers. So much money put into this defense that it might still not be worth it because Nerchio's got no potential to counter. This isn't like 500 minerals in Lings. This is like 500 minerals in static defense, which isn't even stopping them from getting to the main.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to deal with, and Nerchio will never be truly comfortable without his own Banelings, but there's also a Denver just overcommits here, because Banelings are going to be very ineffective against spine crawlers, especially if Nerchio is paying attention.
Yeah.
That was a 2-word.
Well, Nerchio does hold a drone lead, but it's only by 2. 3 now. Still not that much.
It's a lead now, and
a
lead to come. A lead to come because those spine crawlers kind of ensure his future. It's like an investment.
Maybe.
So he doesn't need to make as many Lings. He's even adding on queens now, which is another really good thing to have for the future as they gain more energy. And they're just, sturdier than Lings are. I mean, Denver's still committing on going all in, and Nerchio sees that. Nerchio not only sees it with his Overlord, he's got 2 Lings in the main base, distracted some of Denver's reinforcements.
Well, Banelings on the way, and I guess the thing is, if you want to break the spine crawlers, just make enough Banelings, right? By the way, we did have a sub come in as the action was kicking off. Thank you to Nitrous Pelican. 25 months on that hype train. Says, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
The spine crawler's got to target these Banelings. Nerchio actually, I thought he was going to go for a counterattack, and then thought maybe he was going to go for the behind attack on this, but he just floated a little bit, and now there he is.
Denver, I think, is in...
Look at the hit.
I think Denver's still in a pretty good position for this, though. The pressure is continuing. Spine crawler is going to get surrounded. That's another that's going to die.
Nerchio did not get to his Bailey Nest, or he didn't get enough Lings either. This is really bad now.
Not
now
for
his
lack of trying,
protective barrier of spine crawlers is down. It's not just game over in like right now terms. It also means that Denver should just be able to overwhelm him.
GG.
GG.
All right, that's the Denver we were looking for.
Yeah.
He definitely makes up for that first game. No doubt about it. But someone called me out on not sounding Scottish because I'm from Scotland and you sound nothing like it. Yeah, probably. I said immediately that was not a good accent. So
You did.
Cards on the table. I'm not pretending to claim to be Scottish. But also, that's really cool. We got someone from Scotland tuning in. Send me your women, please. But we're going to go to a small commercial break as this is our very first game 3 of the day. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. All right, folks, thanks for watching that commercial break. We squeezed in there as we get into game number 3, the very first game number 3 of the day. And I think, again, it speaks a little bit highly of Denver watching how different game 1 and game 2 is for him. But I think all odds are still on this guy. In the bottom left, he is the renowned Blue Zerg player, Nerchio.
In the bottom right is the Red Zerg. He is Denver.
So like I said, though, earlier in the cast, this carves out some very interesting storylines, right? Like on one side of this, you've got Denver, who is definitely not the renowned player of the group. In fact, of the 4 players, I would say he's the least known, without a doubt in my mind. If he were to beat Nerchio and get out first place in the group, that would be a phenomenal upset. But that would also send Nerchio then to fight against DNS, who he has not fought yet. If you guys remember, it was Denver versus DNS that started the day, not Nerchio versus DNS. So that will be kind of cool getting to see that match for the first time. Alternatively, maybe Nerchio continues on as business as usual, and we expect that to be the case, because again, he is just such a good player. Solidifies his spot in the round of 16, and yeah, we'll continue on to see Nerchio do well in the tournament. But that means Denver and DNS will get an awesome rematch, and they had a pretty good first series. I did talk to Nerchio a little bit about the, I guess kind of said, like, do you mind if I pick your brain? I got some questions, like, did you watch the first series? And he said, of course, and specifically, I guess he thinks that Stormhosts are only going to work against a player like DNS. It might not work against other players, and part of that has to do with just a multitude of reasons. But I would love to see another Stormhost round of games. So whether Denver wins or loses here, I think we all win on the broadcast end, which is cool. That doesn't happen too often.
Either we get to see Denver's DNS, and maybe DNS has figured out a way to beat the Swarm hosts, or we see Nerchio versus DNS, and we get to test DNS's normal PvZ skill, and maybe evaluate even further from there if Swarm hosts are good or not. But, I don't think either player is too worried about the final match. Denver already beat the guy, and Nerchio probably thinks he can always beat him. Although his recent complaints against Protoss, maybe he's thinking Protoss is bullshit. So I don't know. Balin is starting on the way for Denver. They do, of course, find each other at the Overlords. Let's horizontal first. And we'll see if Denver gets to be aggressive again. It worked eventually. I think a lot of what worked in that last game was the fact that the beginning was chaotic. Usually I would say like 3 spine crawlers is enough with consistent enough link production, but he did take a bit of a blow early on when he could have had a better defense initially. Like the queens got surrounded and of course he just didn't have enough lings, but lings are gonna get in here and scouts. They run away. I think they were going to see how many lings are gonna pop out, which are really none. The next round of larva went into drones for Denver.
Both players trying to do some of that ling micro there, but with speed finishing up a little bit quicker for Denver, he will ultimately clean up. And well, these are not exactly big fights in the early game. They can sometimes be really important fights, but Nerchio is laying it on thick. 18 more lings are on the way. Here's the big difference, though. Both players might have banling nests, but Denver might be the only one with banlings initially. The third base is a bit of a target, maybe even a bit of a bait to a lesser degree, but as he comes in, he will see Nerchio's made a lot of lings, and while he won't see all of the lings, he'll see enough of them to be worried.
Right, yeah. I mean, Nerchio doing this before his own third, he probably does mean to take a third, especially if this goes well, but... Boop. He is putting a lot on doing damage, and if it all goes to hell because one Baneling gets a good hit, then it's actually a really bad start for him. He's trying to control as well as possible. This is kind of the more complicated positions to try and attack that third, because he has to go through the reinforcement point of Denver, and the Baneling making point too. So, and nothing's really going to be done. A bit of damage on the hatchery, which is, you know, sometimes considerable. Baneling's trying to go to the natural, and they want Ninja to make it.
Yeah, there's not enough to actually follow that up. If there's lings running in, that'd be very different.
But that ended up being so bad. Like, that was a long process of cleanup, and Nerchio was droning behind it. So his hatchery being, like, 50% behind is not such a big deal. If he loses it, though, that would be. He's got it under wraps here. Maybe even making one too many banelings? No, I think his ling sees probably the lings still pumping out, and he's a little worried, but it's not anymore. Back to drones. Never went for a roach warren kind of quick. Thought maybe he'd use it. Oh, there we
No!
go.
No! For such an ironclad defense! The transition to roaches is always a little bit tough to make, though. I think one of the biggest fears that you face is that, okay, maybe your opponent didn't also go roaches, so you'll get those first 5 caught off guard, and it'll be that kind of, like, surround trade-off that's no good for anybody. But nice job picking off the banelings. One baneling is really not a threat. Well, the hatchery's a bit low, so it does take some damage from it. Ling's running to the top left. We'll find the space somewhat unguarded, so surround on this will be nasty. Nerchio's only just plopping down his roach warren, so his own roaches aren't going to be out for a fair bit of time.
Denver doesn't have too impressive of a roach count. It's starting to get up there, though, and of course he has cut drones. So an attack is on its way. Nerchio will... Well, I want to scout it as soon as possible. If the Ling can get in here and see that there's already, like, about 10 roaches, that'd be a lot of information.
Well, he did see the 2 from earlier with the baneling, but...
That's not really enough. He's like, he just made another round of drones. He does have a decent amount of bank, so he can make a lot of roaches.
But so here's the problem, right? Like, that's the money and drone in the bank problem. Denver is all in with this. He's committed. Like, this is an attack that has to win the game. So if Nerchio finds a way to hold on, even if it's just barely by the skin of his teeth, whether it's transfusing the spine crawler or not, then he'll come out ahead. So Denver, this is all on Denver, guys. He's got to win the game with this push, and right now it's not looking that promising to start with. These queens and their transfuses alone are just kind of shutting him down.
Oh, the fact that the roaches are trapped in here too, no maneuverability. I mean, you make it the spine crawler as the queen's too far away to transfuse, but that's like...
Yeah, the
doesn't matter.
The roach count's already in Nerchio's favor. Pair that up with the 5 queens on defense and a couple banelings.
That didn't work.
I think that Nerchio has, for now at least, secured the game. It's very easy to throw in ZvZ, however, so I really don't want to call a victory just yet. And we've seen it happen to even the best of players, but Nerchio has solidified the lead, to say the least. Even if Denver is catching up in drones, it's the fact that he's been behind drones for so long. In fact, as we see by the graph, almost like a full 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I also think Denver had a clean enough timing for that. Like, it wasn't like all at once, larva popped out. And I don't think there was much deceit either. Nerchio is probably checking that third base, see how many drones are over there. And it also just timed up really perfectly for Nerchio. Like, Nerchio made a round of drones, then had enough money to make a round of roaches that evenly matched Denver's. He's a good player. And Denver's going to try and get some faster upgrades here, which isn't bad, but he will fall behind in that speed, giving Nerchio a lot of control over this game. The only thing Denver will have is maybe the option to use his speed links, which he is ready to do at the first sign of Nerchio moving out. Now just feeling kind of useless.
Yeah.
Extra useless.
Dives in for a scout. I mean, at least, as silly as it is, these links confirm me that it's not going to be a transition to mutas or something.
Wow.
Almost worthwhile, but that queen position was nice. Good body block. GG's.
Okay. GG.
All right, so this will be like alternate universe number 64, where Nerchio wins the group. He'll move on to the round of 16. All goes according to plan. But then we get a really cool rematch now out of Denver and DNS. And I will say, absolutely, I'm hoping to see Swarm Hosts again. I want to see also DNS play differently to respond to them.
Yep.
Regardless, though, congratulations to Nerchio, and we'll see you later, man, for the European group, round of 16. I would say, by the way, I would be very, very happy if Nerchio is one of the folks that we got to fly out to California. He's, whatever for his online personality, he's actually a very pleasant person in real life. And I've not got to hang out with him at events per se, but I've got to meet him backstage and like at events, and I would definitely like to see him in California. So I wish him the best of luck for the rest of the brackets. But he's done for the day, and he'll move on. Next up is going to be the rematch of Denver and DNS with the final best of 3 today. We're going to go to a couple of words from our sponsors before we get into it. But of course, if you guys don't know, or maybe you've just joined recently, you've never heard of TING before, if you're in the United States, hang on. If you're in the United States, guys, this is for you. This is for you. I don't know why I'm getting so close like that, but TING is a United States only phone service. If you got a cell phone in the United States and you're stuck on a crappy plan, that's your fault for not using TING, because TING doesn't do plans. TING does month to month, pay what you use, and it's really awesome. Quality's great, and I really hope that they are going to be what redefines new phone stuff in the future. But we're going to go to a commercial break. I'm already sick of holding my camera. Look, you can look at my ceiling. We're going to go to a commercial break. We'll see you guys here in a couple of minutes. A word from our sponsors before then.